quick filters and using a real world example. So here's the situation. You are working in Scrum Master, you have a Scrum team that is working on releasing version 1 of the product. And once that version 1 is released into production, you want to have a fast fix 1 following the version 1 deployment to have all those bugs which were not part of version 1 to be fixed, and whatever you couldn't fix in fast fix 1, you want to be having them fixed in fast fix 2. So here's the situation. You have 3 releases of the project: version 1, fast fix 1, fast fix 2, and you want to make sure that in all of these versions there are no P1 priority 1 bugs or P2 or P3 respectively. So how would you manage quick filters, making sure that all the versions have no P1, P2, P3? So I'm going to use that with you in this video, how to set up quick filters to manage these 3 versions into production. Just to recap, we're using JQL, Jira Query Language, to build the quick filters. The quick filters follow a syntax, which is you give the filter name, you give the query to say what exactly you want that filter to do using JQL, and then you want to give a description of that filter to say what that filter is doing. So in this case, if I have version 1, I want to make sure that all fix version is equal to version 1. That will pull everything to do with that, and fast fix 1, fast fix 2, etc. And you can do the same thing for the bug management, defect management. You can have P1 bugs, P2, P3, and this is how you construct a quick filter using the JQL by saying issue type equals bug, and the status is not done, and the priority is P1. So this is how we're gonna set up the quick filters. So let's just do that now. So in the previous video, I had shown you that I have my own Jira board called the Coffee Club. I have created version 1, and I have created epics. To see where the version 1 and epics are, we said that on here you have these options. So you have to say that you want to see the epics by clicking this on, and you also want to see the versions by clicking this on as well. So in the last video, we showed that there was version 1 we had created, and we had created 2 epics. So now I'm going to close epics, but I also want to now create 2 more versions called fast fix 1 and fast fix 2. To do that, I just click on here, create version. It says, what's the name of that? I'm going to say it's fast fix 1. And it's going to go from, say, 1st of January all the way to end of June. End of June. And here I'm going to say all issues part of fast fix 1. Save it. Okay, so now I have my 3 versions: version 1, fast fix 1, fast fix 2. With that in mind, now I want to create filters to manage all the bugs within these 3 versions. To do that, I go over here. I only have 1 filter at the moment. In the last video, I showed you how to create a filter called left to do, all issues which are still outstanding. So let's add more filters here to manage all the P1, P2, P3 bugs. To do that, we go into manage custom filters. At the moment, I only have 1, but I want to add a few more. One for version 1. So I create a custom filter, and I give the filter name. So this is V1, and description is all issues for version 1. And we said last time to do that, you just say fix version. As you type, JQL comes up, and you select the right verbiage, and you say space, and it says is equal to, and it's going to be called. It comes up with all the different options for you, but in my case it's version 1, so which is here, and that's case I create. Okay, I want to create 2 more for fast fix 1 and fast fix 2.
So I'll do the same thing again. And 1 more for FF2.
So let's add more stories to the backlog and then assign them to the different versions that we have just created. So let's just create some stories. We give it a description and assign to nobody. And we're going to put this to fix version 1. If you want to create another story, you can click on this and it will keep the dialog open, so you can add more than one story. So I want to add more stories, so I say create. It keeps the dialog open, and I say here different names now for different story. And again, I want to, this is not part of FF1, so I want to say this is going to be part of FF2. So I remove FF1 and I don't want to create anymore, so I take this off. So I say create. Okay, so now you got 3 stories. And in terms of epic, I want to assign this to requirements. So I want to assign this to screen. This one is assigned to control database. Okay. Now if I go back to my filters now and I want to see how many of them are assigned to V1, I click on that, only 1. If I say how many of them are assigned to FF1, it's only 1, and FF2, only 1. So now you can see the flow of how to manage various issues depending on which version they belong to. Let's add more quick filters for the bugs. To select the bugs, you need to say issue type. So you say what's issue type. So just want to move this up a little bit. So you say issue type. You say issue type. Jira comes with a name. Space is equal to bug, not empty. Yep. And then you want to say and status, which is, I want to make sure that's not, status is still not done. So status space is not done. Is not done. Space again and space again. Priority, because that's how it distinguishes if it's P1, P2. Space is equal to P1. So this is how you construct a JQL quick filter to say I want all the issue type to be a bug and the status is not done, that means they're still in progress, and the priority is P1. Let's create one for total bugs. I want to see how many total bugs we have. So one called total bugs, and this will be all the defects. All the defects. Okay, and to do that, we say again the issue type. So as you do that, it comes up with the issue type is equal to bug, a space, and status is not equals to done. Okay, so this is how we select all the issues which are P1, P2, P3 and beyond. As long as they are defects, it will be part of this filter. I say create. So let's go back to the project. Let's create some bugs for this project. So first of all, you say create. The coffee club is that. I want a bug. And you say screen not working. And we copy this same thing to a description. And this is part of version 1. And the priority is P1. Since you don't see the priority here, you just need to go up here and go into show fields, and you see that there's a priority that is not enabled. Just click on that and then apply. So now you'll see that priority there as well. So this is P3, so keep it as P3 and say create. So let's move all these into our sprint one. So highlight from here, hold down shift key, and you can right click and you can say move it to sprint one, or you can just drag it and drop it there. So I'll say sprint one. So this is our sprint one. Give me all the version one issues, which is 2 here. I also want to see clear the filters. If I want to see all the total bugs, which is here. And from these total bugs, I want to see how many P1s there are. 1. And how many P2s? 1. See, now you can see that you're able to play with these filters and get whatever you need. Let's just summarize. We have, click on our version, epics. So we have 3 versions. Version 1, fast fix 1, fast fix 2. We have 2 epics and we have almost 6 issues. 3 of them are stories and 3 of them are bugs. Each one have their own P1, P2, P3 bug priority assigned to it respectively. And we have created these filters to manage these kind of different stories. So if I was to talk about the defects, I will click on total defects and I will just say to team, now we have these 3 defects. Let's go through them in the order of priority. And we can go into one more level by saying let's look at P1 first. So then we just look at this one first. Once we fix P1, we can say, okay, let's look at P2, and we start working on that respectively. So you can see now that filters is really helping you to focus on those issues that needs the attention and not getting confused or puzzled by seeing the whole backlog or the sprint, which may have many stories in there, issues in there. So you're allowing the team members to focus on exactly what they need to and get the outcome that you desire.